Good day, I'm Junior Researcher Adam Southgate, and today's lecture will be covering the Entropic School of Necromancy. I'd appreciate that all hunters please subscribe as to not miss any future lectures, and also, if you could, recount any of your own interactions with the monsters of the spheres in the comment area of this video. But first, as always, we'll start with our general announcements. An update on the Perpetual Tear to begin with. If you're unaware, a tear opened in Snowdonia National Park that firstly did not deposit an entity and secondly has yet to close, hence the name. A team of researchers, along with a small contingent of hunters acting as bodyguards, entered the tear. However, all but one member of the team failed to return, with the one survivor being completely psychologically devastated. Since then, a more heavily armed team of hunters, without researchers, has entered the tear. They've managed to set up a forward station on the other side of the tear and have been able to send messages back to us by simply stepping through the breach. From the reports we've received, the opposite side of the tear is an almost exact replica of our side, minus any signs of human activity. They also report no sightings of Homo floresiensis, or the creature with the eyes on their teeth that the traumatized individual from the first team keeps incessantly talking about. The research team will be leaving to the other side soon, and I think I can confidently say we all look forward to what they may discover. Finally, we have an investigation specialty contract available. Sightings of a black dog have been reported around Newtown in Powys. Gamekeepers were dispatched to confirm, however, of the 5 sent, only one reported a possible sighting. Due to the limited number of gamekeepers and the quite high demand for their services, they've had to pull back to investigate other incidents. Now, of course, this may be a false positive, however, the Order does feel it is worth further investigation. We need a 5-man team with at least 3 members with experience in tracking to investigate, and if a threat is found that is not the true Black Dog entity, to eliminate the creature. Those that do apply should be at the rank of journeyman or higher, however apprentices are welcomed if accompanied by a master. As there are a number of entities that could be mistaken by the untrained eye for the Black Dog entity, we suggest bringing equipment for dealing with each type, specifically Fey and Abomination. You should also bear in mind that if it is the true Black Dog entity, which is highly unlikely, that under no circumstances should you engage. If you're interested, please contact your local Order office. Entropic Necromancy is the school of necromancy that draws upon the entropic sphere to gain their desired results. Specifically, those necromancers that use the entropic sphere will exploit the benign spirits that surround us to create their horrific monstrosities. Taking advantage of the spirits' mimicking of the recently deceased and their ability to possess or inhabit both living and dead bodies, these otherwise mundane humans have learned through generations of trial and error to trigger the desired effect within the spirits when they need them. They achieve this through countless different rituals, all involving murder and torture. We at the Order have attempted, both through researching the notes made by these necromancers and through enhanced interrogation of captured necromancers, to learn how exactly this is achieved, as it would enable us to better understand what actions create what entity from the entropic sphere. However, so far we've enjoyed no success. Apart from the indecipherable codes they write their notes in, all of which appear to be specific to the individual, they have all, so far, proven completely apathetic to pain and their own physical condition. We are honestly unsure if this frame of mind comes from being surrounded by more powerful entropic entities, or if these kinds of acts simply draw these kinds of people. There are 3 specific schools of entropic necromancy, though they would call them paths. Firstly, the path of life. Those that follow the path of life strive to create a perfect living human from a collection of the dead. Specifically, they're attempting to find a way to live forever by jumping from a dying body to a new healthy one that they themselves have created. They will spend far more time learning and experimenting with the entities of the entropic sphere than any other school of necromancy, with their main aim being to transform their consciousness into a spirit that can possess the new body they have created, though thankfully so far to little success. Necromancers of the Path of Life require the freshest of bodies for their experiments, utilizing many modern techniques for preserving the parts in transplant condition for as long as medically possible. They will usually only have one experiment active at a time, pouring their full focus into it, and will typically kidnap their victims before killing them to harvest their body parts. As mentioned, these necromancers will usually only have one active creation at a time that will most likely be docile and confused. Secondly, the Path of Transformation. Necromancers who follow the Path of Transformation aim to create the perfect being, at least in their eyes. Spending far more time experimenting with the extremes of biology, necromancers of the Path of Transformation will dedicate much of their time to the physical act of surgery upon their subjects, fusing bone, stapling muscle, and stitching skin to create abominations that, although are made from humans, do not in any way resemble humans. Due to this, it was once thought that recyclers were one such experiment, though this has since been disproven. They will also use what they learn to enhance themselves, adding extra limbs, improving organ function, and increasing or decreasing size by preference. Transformation necromancers do not require as fresher bodies as those of the Path of Life, however, they still need blood, muscles, and organs to be intact, so they will still kill to acquire what they need. They will usually have around 5 to 10 creations at a time. They act similarly to trained wild animals, attacking on command. Finally, the Path of Death. The Path of Death necromancers are far closer to your typical fantasy necromancer, wanting the total and complete death of all life on Earth. They believed that the beings of the entropic sphere were once at peace, living in a state of innocent everlasting bliss, but by being pulled into our sphere they have become corrupted by us, and by removing all life, they will be able to return to their previous state. Necromancers of the Path of Death spend the most time actually participating in the actual act of necromancy, creating armies within their lairs, binding countless spirits to as many bodies as they can get their hands on. These necromancers will have armies of undead creations, both skeletal and zombie-like in nature. I recently conducted an interview with a Path of Transformation necromancer, which I will now play for you. Within the isolation room sits, though rather lays, Mr. Thorn. The lower half of his body has been twisted into a facsimile of a large spider, with human arms and hands acting as the legs. His back is filled with more arms, with too many joints, the longest able to reach 6 feet out from his body. Interview starts 6:24 p.m. How are you today, Mr. Thorn?
Frustrated. There is so much to do, and yet I am trapped within this box.
You should be thankful, Mr. Thorn. 3 hunters died restraining you. I'm honestly shocked the others showed enough personal fortitude not to kill you after that.
If I had released my children in time, it would have been 15 dead men. But I guess nobody's perfect. Yet.
Mr. Thorn, I'd like to ask you some questions about yourself and your school of necromancy, if you don't mind.
You may ask, and I may answer.
How did you become a necromancer of the Path of Transformation?
Playing to my vanity, I see.
No, I just want to get a background of you.
It's quite all right. I will indulge. I was born with a condition. My bones grew large lumps over them. They cut through the muscle above, causing great pain. Other Others in my family had the same issue, but none as severe as me. I became sedentary by necessity to limit the damage and therefore the pain. Every day I cursed the defective body that trapped me, but while my physical form stagnated, my mind flourished. It began with a love of animals, watching the birds fly past the window. But as I grew older, it evolved into a passion for biology, pun very much intended. I was ravenous. Any knowledge of the working of life enthralls me, but too soon I ran into a wall.
And what was that?
Simply put, I shouldn't exist. By all the laws of life I loved so dearly, I should have perished a baby. It was unacceptable.
You talk of evolution as if it's an actual law instead of a biological mechanism. Just because evolution exists doesn't mean we need to allow natural selection to affect us.
I agree, which is why I railed against it. Once I reached university, I buried myself in the collective knowledge of the mechanics of life. My studies and assignments meant nothing to me. I needed to find something to justify my own existence. During one of my many sleepless nights poring through the university's collected knowledge is when she approached me.
Who?
My one and only true teacher. She worked as one of the many librarians within the university. As I discovered, to gain access to the knowledge that I myself had been tearing through. She showed me the world beyond my understanding. She taught me how to change life to my own design, and how to give life to the lifeless.
So that's how you became a necromancer. Can you tell me about the path of transformation?
You fool! I've already been doing that. If you haven't been paying attention, that is your misfortune.
I apologize. Please continue.
Very well. My creations were clumsy. They were too much a reflection of myself. Always in pain, always physically weak. But in time my abilities improved. With every barely breathing homunculus, my skills were honed. The only issue was my body couldn't keep pace with my mind. Seeing my frustration, she showed me what could be done. She showed me what she truly was. It was terrifying, but I think that's what made it so exciting to witness. We started small, replacing my fingers with those of her creature's skills. It didn't take long until we were attaching extra limbs, and then attaching the limbs we had warped to fit the purposes we wanted. After many years, I had left humanity far behind me. My creations were even keeping pace with hers. It was the happiest time of my life. And then she announced the final lesson. She asked me, "Were you abandoned by the mechanics of life?" Confused, I responded, "Yes." But together we overcame it. She slashed at me with one of her talons. I was horrified. She had never even raised her voice to me, and now she had split open my chest, the one she'd helped to create. She shouted at me, "If the most fearsome predator of the natural world would attack you now, would you be prey?" I stammered, still reeling from the shock of the encounter, but one look into her many eyes told me she would only respond well to the answer she desired. No natural beast could harm me now," I responded, my voice shaking. Each of her mouths smiled. "And how did you come into such good fortune to acquire the fearsome body you have now?" she asked. "We built it, adding new pieces bit by bit," I answered. Her eyes went white as her nictitating membranes lowered. "And where did that brilliant mind come from that built that body?" she asked. At the time, I was confused, still in shock at the change in her behavior and the sad look in each of her eyes. Then she charged at me.
Wait, she tried to kill you?
Yes. Tried being the operative word. We fought for hours. For a time, I simply tried to escape, not wanting to die or hurt her. But as I bled more and more, something ignited within me, and all sense of civility left me. We were both bloodied, but I was still standing, and her body was failing. She smiled at me as she died, returning to the woman I'd grown to love. She spoke to me one last time then. "I knew you could best me. Life didn't fail you by giving you that broken body. You simply failed to realize the advantages life did give you."
But why did she attack you? I'm sorry, I don't understand.
Fool! She needed to know that I would be better than she was.
Thank you for telling me your story. I'd appreciate continuing this another time if you're amenable to that.
Fine.
Interview ends 6:36
PM.
Frustratingly, and rather embarrassingly, after this interview, the subject, Mr. Thorne, managed to escape our custody, the larger part of his body left behind in his cell. We are still unsure how he actually managed to break out without being caught. Necromancers are highly dangerous, if not particularly powerful individuals when compared to more traditional entities. When dealing with those that follow the path of life, while they are not physically imposing, neither do they possess creatures to defend themselves, they are incredibly difficult to track down, hiding well within the general population. Your best bet is to set traps specifically designed to lure them based on their chosen victim type. For those that follow the path of transformation, the danger is twofold. As stated, not only will they possess creatures that will attack on command, but they will also certainly have modified themselves extensively, making them extremely dangerous in their own right. Once their lair is located, it is best practice to take them on at range, with firearms with heavy knockback. For those that follow the path of death, while the necromancers themselves aren't too much of a threat, the hordes of undead under their command are. The two standard types they command both require a different approach, and knowing this, they will often pair them together to cover for their inherent weaknesses. For animate skeletons, you will need to use blunt weaponry to smash the bones to dust, making sure that no joints remain intact. For the more zombie-like creatures, you will want to hack them apart with something like an axe or machete. Like the skeletons, you will need to make sure that no joints remain connected, otherwise they can and will rebuild themselves. I would like to cover each path of necromancy in greater detail at some point in the future, to say nothing of the necromancy based upon the other spheres. I find it fascinating to see that us mundane humans can wield abilities born from the spheres, even if, so far, every group that does is a complete certified menace. But that will be all for today. I hope you enjoyed. Good luck in all your future hunts. With Arthur's might and Merlin's wisdom, thank you.